See if anyone jumps in here. Oh, there we go. Greetings. We'll get started in just a second. It looks like our participants are just starting to trickle in. We'll wait just a minute or so and see if we get anyone else to join us, and we'll get started in just a second. Okay, so good evening. I'm like, what time is it? What day is it? Good evening. My name is Jenny. I'll be your facilitator for the night. So I am with the MOACAC executive leadership team. So I'll be facilitating your panel. What will happen is I will get us started. I'm going to cover a couple housekeeping rules. I'll give your introduction to Amanda here, and then I will let her take it from there. So I will actually mute my screen and black out my video just to give Amanda the stage, but I'll be here if you guys run into any technical issues along the way. So know that I'll jump back on towards the end and give you kind of a closing as well, so you have a good solid ending of where you are. So a couple housekeeping rules, or I guess things to think about. Use the Q&A to ask questions. So your computer will be muted and your screen will be blacked out, so we can't see you or hear you. So use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to type your questions to the presenter at any time. Because Amanda is presenting and she doesn't have a co-presenter, more than likely it will take her a minute to see your question. So just be patient. She'll probably answer those at the end of the session. If you want that question answered privately, no problem. She can answer that in the chat as well, directly to you. So just indicate if you'd like it privately, responded to privately. If this is your first session you've attended, or if there are other sessions you are interested in, you can definitely sign up for more sessions, and we would encourage you to do so. The sessions I've seen so far have been fantastic and all totally different. So you really do get a good feel of what the culture of a college feels like, even via Zoom, which I think is pretty impressive. So you can check out that schedule at www.moacac.org. So again, you can sign up for more sessions at www.moacac.org. And finally, this session will be recorded. So those recordings are all available for our college tonight, as well as all other colleges and universities that have presented, again, at moacac.org. So you can sign up for more sessions, struggling through my words tonight, or to view recordings at www.moacac.org. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Amanda, our presenter for the evening. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you guys for being here tonight. This is fantastic chance to get to talk to you all. I'm Amanda Lundberg, and I'm really excited to meet you and be able to present today and help you learn a little more about Trinity College Dublin. I'm based in San Antonio, Texas, and I look after the Midwest and South Central region of the US, but I have several colleagues that also work alongside me here in the US. Today we'll be looking at why you should choose to study in Ireland, specifically looking at Dublin and Trinity itself, of course, a few facts and figures about our school, our course options, our student experience, including clubs and societies, how to apply, a little bit about fees and funding, your accommodation options, and then a really quick look at some of our notable alumni. And as our lovely moderator said, any questions, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A, and I'll be happy to answer those at the very end. But to get us started, I'd like to show you just a really quick video that gives a great overview of Trinity College Dublin.
On the western edge of Europe lies a modern capital city.
Whoopsie, so sorry about that.
And in the beating heart of this city is Ireland's highest ranking university, Trinity College Dublin. Trinity is a modern, living, breathing campus pulsing with people, energy and ideas. It's made an indelible
Oh goodness, so sorry folks, my video
mark on Ireland and the world for more than 4 centuries. But its 21st century incarnation has its focus firmly fixed on the future. Today, Trinity's campus is Ireland's largest research centre, a place where leading experts from the humanities, the sciences and medicine are creating research that matters and then turning that research into impact. Thousands of new students pass through Trinity's gates for the very first time every September. They join a community of 3,000 staff, 17,000 students, and alumni more than 130,000 strong. A community that is inclusive and welcoming and active in every corner of the globe. A community that will bring out the best in each student and help those students to make their way in life. Our students are all different, but they share one characteristic. They've never been content to accept life as they find it. They agitate. They innovate. They build new worlds. Perhaps this is why Trinity has produced 1/5 of all Irish spin-outs, more entrepreneurs than any other university in Europe, and more than half of all the Nobel laureates from the Republic of Ireland. Perhaps this is why Trinity collaborates so well with the Irish and multinational companies that make Dublin their home. Perhaps this is why Trinity has changed with every generation, and why Trinity never sits still. Perhaps this is why one of the world's great cities is home to one of the world's great universities. Trinity College Dublin.
Well, I always like to start off with that because it's a great overview. So why should you study in Ireland? That's far away, especially when you're right in the middle of the US. Why would you go so far from home? Here are our top 10 reasons. I can tell you personally that Ireland as a country is an inviting and it's a familiar sort of place, very friendly. The Irish in general are a very friendly culture. And then of course it's easy because there's English spoken as well. It's a gateway city, a gateway country to Europe and home to many of the world's leading financial, business, biomedical, and IT companies. But why Dublin specifically as well? Dublin is an ideal place. It's a capital city, but it actually has a small city feel to it, even though it's a large capital, European capital, pardon me. It's one of the best student cities in the world, and everything is at your doorstep in Dublin. It's great. There's lots to do, lots to see, lots to eat. That's the great thing about it. And it's a doorway to the rest of Ireland as well as to the rest of Europe. So a great place to go when you're looking to do some further traveling as well. But why should you consider Trinity? So Trinity is the exact center and heart of Dublin. The city was practically built around Trinity. That's how long we've been in Dublin. We were founded in 1592, and our students receive a world-class education in a research-centered and collaborative environment, and have the opportunity to work with global leaders in their field. This is a photo here of our iconic campanile. It's the bell tower in Library Square. There's a tradition and a superstition that I always like to share at different fairs and with different students I meet. And the superstition is that any student that passes underneath the campanile while the bell is ringing will fail their exams. So many of our students never pass under the campanile until they're finished with their time at Trinity. Here you can see some info on this slide that we have a lot to be proud of at Trinity. Again, I mentioned we were founded in the 1500s. That's nearly 200 years older than the US, which is just mind-boggling to me. We're the #1 university in Ireland and first in Europe for producing entrepreneurs for 5 years in a row now. We're very proud of that. And we're ranked as one of the top 15 safest countries in the world. This is another lovely photo I love to share. It's our gorgeous old library. We have Ireland's deposit library on campus. And what this means is publishers throughout Ireland must deposit a copy of all of their publications into our libraries on campus. We have over 200,000 books, which is just a book lover's dream. But this is also the home to the Book of Kells, which is a 9th century gospel manuscript that usually draws a steady stream of tourists on campus. But the wonderful thing is that students get to bypass all of those tourists. You get to jump right in the front of the line, which is great too. But it's a beautiful place just to come and visit and to be able to see the history that Trinity has had in Ireland. Here we can see we have lots and lots of subjects that you can get into with Trinity, hundreds of combinations, but all of our subjects are organized into 24 schools, which you can see here on the screen, which are then in turn organized into 3 faculties. So within each of these schools, there'll be even further breakdown of different subject areas. There's, like I said, hundreds of combinations. You can do single subjects on their own, or you can do what we call a joint honors, and that is 2 subjects together, either as a major minor or a double major, but these are often limited to within the school and discipline that you're thinking of doing. But we also have lots of other ways you can study things. We have interdisciplinary programs. One of our most popular programs with US students is our philosophy, political science, economics, and sociology course. And that's where you combine all 4 of those subjects. And then by the time you're in your 3rd and 4th year, you'll have a chance to specialize in one of those subjects. Another popular course that's interdisciplinary would be business, economics, and social studies. And then we also have lots and lots of options within our biological and biomedical sciences courses, which is seen as a pre-med course if you're interested in medicine. And then of course, other arts and humanities that are very popular, psychology, as well as English studies and law. The great thing too, with some of our subjects, we do have a very subject-focused degree program. That's how a lot of European universities work. But you do have optional modules and elective modules that you'll be able to choose from across other disciplines. This is a fantastic, very unique program that we have at Trinity. It's a dual BA program with Columbia University in New York. The way this works is you spend your first 2 years at Trinity and your final 2 years at Columbia. And when you're finished, you do achieve a bachelor's degree from both schools. So it's fantastic. We've been able to match our curriculum so closely that we can offer degrees from both schools in half the time. So it's really wonderful. You can see the areas that are offered here, lots of different arts and humanities and a couple of STEM programs. Every year we add more programs to this, more subject areas to this dual BA degree. So if you are an underclassman, you may see other subject areas added soon. But for seniors, this is what's going to be offered for next September. The intro requirements are such as, because everyone's starting at Trinity, you must meet Trinity's minimum requirements, and there's a separate application process to Columbia's as well as Trinity's application. There's a central application between us so that both of our admissions offices can review your application. Another unique aspect of applying to this is that you can apply to this program as well as other programs at Trinity. So if you wanted to sort of hedge your bets and see which ones you can get into, you can apply to both programs. Unfortunately, you cannot apply to this as well as Columbia just because of the structure of the structure of the course. Lots and lots of areas for you to look into there. We have a lot of support on campus for our international students. We completely understand that traveling abroad, let alone moving abroad, is daunting, and you might be worried about not knowing anyone and discovering a new culture, a new country. But the great thing is that we have 27% of our students that are international, and roughly 40% of our staff are international. So we do have a lot of different cultures on campus, which is wonderful. So you won't be alone. And I'd say American students do make up a large majority of our internationals. So you definitely won't be the only American accent on campus either. Our global room here is our main hub for international students. It's where you can meet like-minded students from all over the world. And you can also get receive support and advice from our global relations staff, as well as our global student ambassadors who are current international students as well. And we put on loads of events and offer lots of different things for you to get involved in throughout the year, such as a Thanksgiving dinner. We'll do a Super Bowl party for helping with curb some of that homesickness you might feel as you get adjusted to living in a new place. And there's a lot of other areas to get involved in as well. So we have nearly 200 sports clubs and student societies to get involved in. These will range widely. So we have academic student societies such as the Phil and the HIST, which are philosophy and history societies. They're two of the oldest in Europe, so they're a fantastic way to get involved, especially if you enjoy debating. We also have 50 different sports clubs on campus, and you can play these either socially or competitively. And the sports do range from American sports all the way through to European sports. And we also have, of course, specific Irish sports too, if you wanted to learn something new. And then special interest societies too, languages, performing arts, other sort of arts and culture, lots and lots of ways that you can still get involved in things that you're interested in outside of your academic studies. And all of these clubs and societies are very involved on campus and throughout Dublin as well. So you'll have, it's a great way to get to know your home away from home. A little bit about how to apply and what you need to get into Trinity. So you can see here, these are our typical entry requirements. We would normally look at your GPA, your classes, any testing you've done, if you've done it. But this year we've been completely flexible with SATs and ACTs, knowing that so many students have not been able to take them. So I'm very proud of this decision. We've been able to offer this flexibility this year. So in that case, if you aren't able to sit these exams, we will also consider other academic criteria, such as APs if you've taken them, college and honor levels classes with strong grades, and also any relevant classes to the major or program that you're applying to. And you can see here also part of your application, some of the documents that you'll be asked to submit. So we'll be able to look through all of that as well and consider all of that information as part of your application. I will just give a couple of tips and notes. Applications are program specific, so you will be applying directly through our web page. We're not on Common App or UCAS. We have a separate application system on our website, and you do apply to a specific program through the subject page. So you find your subject and you'll see a little Apply Now button on that subject page. You'll include a 500-word personal essay, contact details for 2 referees, and we usually contact them for you and ask them to send in your reference. And then also you can self-report any test scores if you have taken them, and you'll self-report any of your classes in your final year as you don't have those grades just yet. You can make up to 3 applications. The first is seen as your first choice. So I'd say whichever one you're definitely leaning towards, apply for that one first. And the dates here as well. So our portal would typically open up in October each year, but COVID has pushed everything just a little bit back. So we'll be opening up the application portal by the 1st of November. If you have some time to kind of get all your information together. And we do have a rolling deadline until June for the majority of our programs. There are a few exceptions, as you can see on the screen, and the dual BA also has an earlier deadline as well. With our decision turnaround, so we would offer usually a 4 to 6 week decision turnaround, often faster. Sometimes it's 3 to 4 weeks. So you may know, applying in November, you may know by Christmas whether you got in, which is great. It's great to be able to sort of have that peace of mind when you're thinking about college. A few other top tips. So contact your regional representative for information, and that's me. I look after Missouri, so you've already met me, so you can already tick that one off your list. But yeah, I'm here as a resource to you. I don't read applications directly, but I get the pleasure of helping you along the way, answering any questions that you have about Trinity, about applying, about living in another country. I spent many, many years in Europe, so I would be happy to share those experiences. But yeah, that's my first top tip. And then register your interest on the site. So there's a QR code at the beginning, and I'll put another one at the end. That just helps us to update you on information about the application and anything else that's going on at Trinity. So please do consider registering your interest with us. Knowing your admissions deadlines, depending on your course, it may not be. You may not have the rolling decision until June, and we always recommend applying as soon as possible anyway, but at least depending on your subject, if you know your deadline, you'll be in very good stead for having a quick decision on your application. Next is researching your course to make sure that it's the thing that you really want to study. Because we're subject focused, it's a little harder to change courses. It's not very common in Europe to go from one thing to another unless it's within a similar discipline or school. So we would always recommend you research your course before you apply so that you really know the ins and outs. And our website has a fantastic research for that. We have a lot of information there for you. Get to know Trinity. So we've got a really great YouTube page, tons of videos on there that you can see campus, you can hear our professors and lecturers talking, some of our current students talking. And the one thing that we were able to do recently was we've developed a virtual video tour that we have on our YouTube page. So it's hard to get to Ireland right now. The world is a weird place right now, but this is a great way for you to see our campus and get to hear from some of our current international students. And then you can also chat with students through the UniBuddy program on our website as well. So if you go to our study pages, a little pop-up will come up and you can talk to someone that's currently studying with us, which is a great way to find out about us too. And then lastly, have an open and inquisitive mind. Again, I feel like you can already take this one off your list because you're here listening to me tell you all about Trinity. You've already have an open mind about studying overseas. So you've already got 2 down. Well done. A little bit about fees and funding here. So all of our fees do vary depending on subject. So I've put a link there that's quite easy to find. But in general, tuition is on average around $26,000 per year. And cost of living on top of that would be roughly $16,000 per year, depending on housing and of course each student's lifestyle. I like to give these numbers because if you're looking at any other out-of-state schools or private schools, we're often comparable, if not cheaper. So a lot of students think studying abroad is just out of bounds just based on finances, but actually it is a lot more affordable than a lot of students think. So I love being able to mention that. And then we also have plenty of ways to help with funding too. So you can see we do participate in the US direct loan scheme. So you can apply through FAFSA just like you would any school here in the US. And you can also use other funds, the 529 funds or grants that you've applied for here, as long as they don't say for US only. And then lots of scholarships too. So the 2 that I've put here on the slide, our Global Excellence Scholarship is actually specific to US students, and we have a number of those scholarships. So we won't be just giving that out to one student. We will be giving it to a handful, to several students. So that's a great way to reduce your tuition cost. And then in your second year, you can apply for our Trinity Foundation Scholarship, which is a prestigious scholarship that's exam-based in your subject area. So it's not an SAT general knowledge exam. It is based in your subject area that you've been studying for that first year. And the benefits include having your fees reduced, just as the Global Excellence Scholarship does, as well as free accommodation and free meals on campus. So it's as close as we get to a full ride scholarship, but it does pay for a lot of your cost of living, which is fantastic. And it has a duration of 5 years. So it will cover the rest of your undergraduate course as well as postgraduate, part of your postgraduate, if you wanted to stay on with us to do that. So it's a great scholarship that kind of pays for a lot of those living costs and things that are important. Accommodation. So where are you going to live? You're going far away from home. You don't want to be searching for somewhere to live. So these are the 4 different locations we have. The excellent news is you are guaranteed housing for your first year. So you won't have to worry about any of that. Typically, our students, new students, especially international students, will stay in Trinity Hall. That's it's a 15-minute Lewis ride, which is Lewis is the tram system in Dublin. It's only about 2 miles away, so it's really not far at all. The on-campus rooms are typically for our postgraduate and doctoral students that are doing current research, but we do have some rooms for undergraduates as well, if that's something you wanted to do. But I'd say the biggest difference between European style living, university living versus US college dorm rooms is that it's a much more independent lifestyle. So our rooms our halls are all set up in apartment style. So you'll have your own bedroom, your own bathroom with a shared kitchen and shared living facilities. And I'd love to show you a little bit of what Trinity Hall also offers specifically. So you can see here, you can choose to have a roommate if you wish, which a lot of students do like to do when they're coming to a new place. But you absolutely can have your own room. That's very, very common. And all of these rooms will have their own bathrooms. But we also have the laundry room, recreational rooms, lots of other shared facilities in the halls that you'll be able to make use of. And it's a great independent lifestyle, like I said, versus the dorm style where you're sharing with, hundreds of other girls on one floor sharing a bathroom. So this is always a great way to experience living away from home, certainly. And of course, we do have other food options on campus if you don't like cooking, but it's a great time to learn, and since you will have your own kitchen facilities. But yeah, lots of other ways to find food on campus, as well as around Dublin, being in such a fantastic city. We love to brag about our alumni, so I couldn't leave you today without showing you some of the few famous faces and famous names that we've had come through Trinity's gates. These are from all over the world and from every subject that you can think of across Trinity's programs. And these are just a few of the most notable. So a few I always like to point out: Mary Robinson was the first female president of Ireland, and we're very proud that she's one of our alumni. And I believe we have at least 3 former presidents that have come through Trinity to study, 3 former Irish presidents, that is. And then also Oscar Wilde, of course, a very well-known name in poetry and playwriting. And then Jack Gleason, for any Game of Thrones fans. We've got King Joffrey that studied acting with us, and he was one of our Trinity scholars who came through that scholarship, the foundation scholarship. So we love being able to brag about him. And then finally, Sally Rooney, who's a novelist who's recently been sort of in the headlines. She wrote a book called Normal People that's recently been made into a television show that actually it highlights students that are about to start their university journey, and they do come to Trinity, and you get to kind of see how they progress through their time at university. Sally is an alumni, one of the actors in the show is alumni, as well as I believe the director and the producer as well. So there's a lot of alumni love going on with that show and that book. But these are just a few. I can always find other famous alumni in your subject area if they're not listed here. And then here you can see where our alumni come from throughout the world. So the USA has over 9,000 students that have come through and are now considered alumni. And we have lots of other branches within the US that you can be part of too. The US it's definitely one of our strongest networks. So you'd be in good stead for coming back home after your degree if that's what you wanted to do. Lots of great networking potential there, and also other support. So we have career resources for our alumni, mentoring schemes, as well as volunteering opportunities. So there's a lot of ways you can still be connected with Trinity and get support as you're looking for your first job when you're done with your degree. That concludes my formal presentation, and I would love to answer any questions you have. But before I do, please do scan this QR code if you'd like to receive some updates from Trinity. We'd love to stay in touch with you. And then also, please feel free to jot down my email address as well, because I'd love to keep in touch and answer any questions you have. But yeah, I'm gonna come to the Q&A and see if we can find, see if anyone has any questions. Give me just a second. Open this up. So yeah, feel free to pop any questions in there. And if you want to ask them later, that's totally fine too. Feel free to email me, like I said. But if there's not any questions for now, I will hand it back to our moderator, but feel free to, I think we still have a little bit more time if you wanted to type any in as we finish up here.
So sorry, you have 15 more minutes. So you are
Yeah.
welcome to continue and have some questions. Or if everyone is set, we can end early. I'll wait a couple minutes and see if there's anything that gets dropped in the Q&A. And in the meantime, I'll go ahead and give my announcements so that we have those and you guys can jump off if you are finished. So let me get those up here. Okay, so primary closing announcements are you will receive a quick survey that's 4 questions. You'll receive it via email. So if you wouldn't mind filling that out and giving us some feedback on how these virtual sessions are going, MOACAC would love your feedback as this is the first time that we're exploring the virtual session. So we would love to know how we can serve you better. Again, if you're interested, sign up for more sessions at www.moacac.org. And then the final announcement again is that recordings will be available of all sessions, whether you've attended them or not, at www.moacac.org. So thanks so much for joining us. It looks like we do have a question in the Q&A, so I'm going to go ahead and jump back off and pass it over to Amanda. But again, I'll still be around to hang out if I need to close the session. I think you have another 15 minutes, so feel free to answer those questions.
Thanks. Yeah, so Elizabeth has asked in the chat, in the Q&A rather, if you're using your phone to view the presentation, to scan the code, I know that's a little bit tricky, so that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. I think the best thing what you can do is you can, if you do a screenshot of the code, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Or I'd be happy to, I don't know if it will let me do this, but we do have a separate link, so I can send that to you. Let me just, I'll see if I can put that in the answer as well. So that way you can just click on the link instead. So I'll put that in the Q&A so that you can see that there. Give me just a second. Here we go. All right, yeah, so if you go to our website, there's another way to register as well if you wanted to receive updates. So it's just tcd.ie/study/international, and then you'll see there it says register your interest if you wanted to do that there. But that's probably the easiest way if you can't scan the QR code with your phone, which I totally appreciate. Thank you so much for asking that question. Another question that's just come through, in your opinion, what are some major differences in studying abroad compared to studying domestically? That's a great question. So I think some of the biggest differences would be on the academic side would definitely be the structure of the courses. So we put a lot more emphasis on independent learning. So you will absolutely receive a syllabus at the beginning of your course, and you may even receive you'll receive the structure of the course, but you may not have the same kind of structure that you're used to in the US here, especially at high school and also at college level as well. So I remember when I was in college here, I did a little bit of college here and a little bit abroad, so I was able to experience both. But you often will say, you might see, well, this paper is worth 25%, this test will be worth 10% of your grade, and you'll know exactly how it's going to structure your grade by the end, but we don't often do it that way. So our professors will give you the outline and tell you what your learning outcomes will be, but it's kind of up to you to keep on top of your learning and keep up with your course reading, that sort of thing. So I know that might sound a little bit scary if you're not used to it, but we definitely have some resources in place for that as well. All of our students from the first day you've arrived will receive a personal tutor. So this person is someone within your subject area. They're they could be leaned on as an advisor, a mentor, someone that you can kind of meet up with regularly to go over coursework to make sure that you are keeping up with your studies for, you know, any particular module, any particular class. But that's one big difference academically. Otherwise, the academic terms are pretty much the same. We kind of start in September and teaching finishes in May, and there'll be several breaks throughout the semester for studying or for getting ready for exams, that sort of thing. But I'd say that's the one that definitely is the biggest academic difference. But then I think the living style is another big one, which I already kind of touched on with the having dorms versus apartment style. That's a huge difference in having that independent lifestyle. So oftentimes within Europe, students have already chosen their subject in high school. They're kind of led down a path to see where their strengths are, and they start to think about what they're going to be doing at university. So they already are kind of thinking in that way. So it's a different educational system, but our American students have definitely adapted very well and have thrived in this environment. I think it's a great place to study if you know what you want to do, if you're thinking about a specific subject area, and even if not, you can combine subject areas if you're still not quite sure. So that, I'd say that's a big difference too, is that you're kind of jumping in with both the interior major from that first day, and then with the independent learning and the independent lifestyle, that's definitely a big difference. And then for us Americans too, I'd say just generally living in a city like Dublin, most of us are used to relying on cars to get everywhere we need to go. So that's a big difference. You won't need a car when you're in Dublin, not at all. There's plenty of trams and buses. The public transportation is fantastic and everyone uses it. It's the most common mode of transportation. You'll still see cars, you'll see taxis, you'll be able to do that. But I'd say that is a big difference too, is not needing to drive everywhere. And I loved it. I loved being able to walk everywhere and cycle. You can hop on a bus, hop on a train. It's really, really easy to get back and forth. But I'd say those are the biggest differences, studying abroad to studying here in the States, just off the top of my head. But yeah, thank you for that question. Any others that are coming through? We've got a few more minutes. If not, that's totally fine. No problem at all.
Seems like we're good. So if you have any questions, go ahead and scan that QR code or take down Amanda's contact information, and she is happy to answer any questions you have via email as well. But otherwise, thanks so much for joining us, guys. Be sure to sign up for more sessions and learn about other universities and colleges and get your best fit. So we appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.